You can't always get what you want. You can't always get.
Welcome to all parties interested in finding out how Oakland has become a shithole, a stain in the East Bay Area. And it didn't just start with the Oakland city government sending out an invitation across the country, across the United States of America, inviting homeless people to take up residence in the city in order to drive out low-income residents, black and brown people, so that they can gentrify not just West Oakland, as they did back in the 90s. No, we're talking about the whole city. Because once your, pardon me, profanity and expletive warning, but once your black asses are gone, I'm sure they'll move the homeless people out. Just like you don't have homeless people above MacArthur Boulevard, you will not have homeless people in the city at all once they are prepared to install the white and Asian, but mainly white populace in what was once a black Mecca. Now I've got recorded phone calls for you from the office of the city of the mayor, Mayor Libby Schaaf, so you can hear for yourself that the city employees and elected officials in the city of Oakland don't give a fuck about what you have to say. They are busy doing what they want to do and do not want to inform you and are not obligated, according to Mary Olson in the mayor's office. They're not obligated to tell you what they're doing. Don't believe me? Let's go ahead and have a listen. So there's no responses coming from the city administrator's office either.
Just because you say you want to meet with someone doesn't mean they're going to meet with you.
I understand.
People don't have the right to meet with the mayor or anybody else in their office if they don't want to meet with you.
Now, when did I demand the right to do that? Because I don't recall that being in any of my correspondence or in our conversation today.
Okay. I think you're not going to get a meeting. That's the truth.
Then they should why not email me back and then tell me that?
Well, that is a good point.
Right, because I didn't say I demand anything. I just asked to meet with her, and if you look at the email I sent yesterday, I said you didn't acknowledge it, nor did you tell me whether or not I would be granted such a meeting. And then
Okay.
I didn't, one more thing, if you will, because I didn't demand to meet with Mr. Cooper or Miss Simmons either. I posed questions to them, and they ignored me.
Okay. Well, that's not uncommon. If they were to spend their time answering emails from people, that's all they would accomplish in their day.
Okay, now this is actually surprising to me, because then that means they're effectively ignoring the residents of the city of Oakland.
They're ignoring the what of the city of Oakland?
The residents. The residents, the voice,
the residents.
The voice of the people.
Well, they're not obligated to you. They're obligated to do their job. And if it means that they have to ignore the public sometimes in order to do their job, then so be it.
I mean, that is an extremely offensive way. I'm sorry. What you just said, it's not that what you said is offensive in the terms of, say, using expletives or profane language towards somebody, but they are hired to perform a service to help the people of the city of Oakland, people such as my dad. And what you're saying is that if my dad has questions about what they're doing, and whether it's posed by me because he's over 80 years old, but it's okay for city individuals to just blow the people off.
No. They have people in their offices that are hired to respond to people. One of those people is me, and they have to go about doing the work of their job.
Okay.
And that job, it doesn't include keeping the public informed of what they're doing.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Straight from the mouth of Mary Olson in the mayor's office, City of Oakland, California. You heard her. If they have to ignore the public sometimes to do their job, then so be it. But you are an employee of the city. Your job is to serve the people. If you ignore the people, then how the hell can you serve them? Because you don't know what they want. She also said their job does not include keeping the public informed of what they are doing. Now, that should scare you. It really should. They are doing shit like allowing homeless people to move into your town, deciding during a city council meeting which is held while you're at work, not to enforce the laws that prohibit homelessness. They decide, oh, well, yes, it's a law, but we feel that we're not going to enforce it because it does not affect them. Why don't you ask Trevor Reed where she lives? They still have the Zoom meetings that she's supposed to reside in District 7. I guarantee you, she may have a residence in District 7, but that's not where she lives because that's where the problems are. Let's go on to the next clip. Which sort of brings us back, actually kind of brings us back to the issue as it relates to what I indicated to with regards to the emergency management policy of the city and wanting to discuss matters with the mayor, because you're doing this and you say Daniel Cooper's in charge of it. And I have questions regarding what they're doing and how it's affecting residents in certain areas of the city, areas that are generally populated by black and brown people, while excluding those detrimental aspects of homelessness from white communities. And you're saying that...
Lucas, I recommend that you send an email to Daniel Cooper and ask the questions that you have.
And I stated earlier that I did, and that he ignored those emails, and you said that's fine because he has a job to do.
I can't force him to respond to his emails. I cannot.
Did I ask you to?
No, you did not.
Okay, thanks. Because the only thing I said to you...
You wrote to Daniel Cooper and he didn't answer you. Period, the end.
That is actually correct, because you said I should email him, and I'm telling you that I did, and he ignored me. And you told me that it's okay for him to ignore me.
What shall I do about that?
Well...
He ignored your emails, okay?
Okay.
What would you like me to do?
Well, no, because what you stated to me, just so we're clear, you stated to me that it's okay for him to ignore my emails because he has a job to do. So
I said that he is doing his job and he's not obligated to return your email.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree on that. My question then would therefore be this. Because you asked me to email him, I told you that I already did. So let's go beyond that. So you asked me to do something, I told you I've already accomplished that particular task.
Yes, you did. Yes.
So now what is your next suggestion for my next course of action?
Send him another email. Also, my next suggestion is go to the City of Oakland website. There's tons of information about our policy on homelessness and the encampment management team. There's tons of info there.
Oh, I've read it, and it doesn't answer my questions, which is why I posed those questions.
Okay.
Because, in effect, your policy, which is supposed to promote racial equity and to ensure that not just one section or segment of the city is adversely affected by the homeless problem, and yet one section of the city or one segment of the population is adversely affected because it's supposed to look at it through a lens of racial equity. And you don't have a single...
And LaTonda Simmons, that is what she is all about.
Yes, the woman that I emailed before as well. Because you don't have a single...
She is all about racial equity in the homelessness situation.
But you don't have a single homeless encampment above MacArthur Boulevard.
I know.
Right, and who lives...
I agree.
Right.
So, wait a minute.
As you heard, Mary Olsen, O-L-S-E-N, told me to email Daniel Cooper once again. But she had already said that Mr. Cooper has the right to ignore my emails. He's under no obligation to answer my emails. So I ask you, profanity warning, or is it an expletive? Why the fuck would I email someone who is not going to email me back? Because he's not required to. Now, in effect, she was basically instructing me to waste my time. Just keep sending emails. Keep sending them. Even though you get nothing back. But more importantly, for you black and brown people who are watching this video, I won't call her any names, but Ms. Olsen, she agreed with me, you heard her, that there are no homeless encampments above MacArthur Boulevard. Y'all know the majority of people above MacArthur Boulevard are white or Asian. They usually have money. That's why they live above MacArthur Boulevard. The majority of people below MacArthur Boulevard, well, that's where the black and brown people are, and that's where they funneled the homeless folks. That's right. Tara Reid's district. What in the hell is his name? Lauren Taylor's district. Except, Lauren Taylor does not live below MacArthur Boulevard. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'd have to look at the map, because I do believe that a portion of his district goes down to Foothill Boulevard, maybe Bancroft. But no, Lauren Taylor his black ass lives up in the hills. So let's go ahead. Let's go into this last recording, because that you heard her initially, if I cut it correctly, where Mary Olsen said that I don't have a right to demand a meeting with the mayor, and that the mayor had, well, no, I think I cut that out, but she said that the mayor has many people advising her about the homeless, and therefore I would not get a meeting with the mayor in order to advise her about the homeless problem that Oakland city government created. But that it was not why I asked to meet with the mayor. I asked to meet with the mayor due to the fact that when I made inquiries with these people, Daniel Cooper, Latonda, Latonda Simmons, and some Mexican Greta Monares, Monares, that they ignored my questions with regards to the policy. As she said, well, their job does not include keeping the public informed of what they're doing. So they're going to do shit and they're not going to tell you about it, and then you wake up in the morning and find out you're in a fucked up situation. But let's see how Mary Olsen handles that kind of question.
Good morning, Mayor Libby Schaff's office. Mary Olsen speaking.
Yes, Miss Olsen. This is Lucas Cage calling.
Hi, Lucas Cage.
I've still not received a response to my email.
Yeah, it's probably not going to happen.
Why not? What's not going to happen? You're not going to respond to my email?
Probably not.
Why?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
That's about the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. You're not going to respond to my email, and you don't know why you're not going to respond to my email.
Oh, I thought you said they. I thought you said they. No, I'm not going to respond.
Why not?
Because it's a big waste of time.
How is it a waste of time when somebody contacts you
Lucas,
and asks you a question?
I don't want to talk to you.
Why not? profanity and expletive warning. That bitch hung up on me. That's right. This is a serious issue. And sometimes, even though, well, let's look at it like this. Profanity is the first refuge of the ignorant. However, I'll tell you this. Profane language and the use of expletives can many times convey an emotion, usually anger, that exists, but which would be minimized by the use of professional language. Language without expletives. Language that was not profane. You don't get the same effect without using words like fuck, bitch, etc. Look, I no longer live in Oakland. And my dad, as you heard in the recordings, he's over 80 years old. But he doesn't want to leave. That's what he knows. He knows the streets. He knows the neighborhoods. Where to go, where not to go, which is unfortunate. And that you should be able to go anywhere you want in the city that you reside in. But that's not the case in Oakland, California. Unless you live in one of those white neighborhoods. But as it stands right now, even that does not necessarily provide safe harbor, as crime is rampant in the city of Oakland. This is just to provide you a glimpse of why your city is a shithole and who is responsible for it. That's it. I just vote for Iglesias. That's all I can say. I grew up in his time. I believe he was over the Fruitvale district. I was rather young. But I do believe he'd be a positive change for the city. And I said, I don't live there. I don't. But you get what you vote for. You black and brown people who have the right to vote. I'll say that. You need to vote for a change. Because I was along East 14th Street. I was along Bancroft. That shit was fucked up. And damn sure it may not have been. It was safer than it is now. Although that's not saying much. But you had activity. And black people had places to go. And things to do in East Oakland. Now you ain't got shit to do. No restaurants where you go grab you something to eat. No clubs and shit. Which had like Mr. C's back on, what the hell was that? 82nd and MacArthur. You had Apartment G right out the corner of 90th and East 14th. The only club I saw was a Hispanic club. And that shit was a few blocks from High and East 14th. And I won't call that shit International Boulevard because that's bullshit. Look, I've talked too much. The video's too long, so I'm out.